Picture this. You wake up already bracing for impact. Notifications buzzing, mind sprinting, heart negotiating with a day that hasn't even started. What if existence isn't chaos, but a pattern, and you can read it? Here's the twist. The clearest explanation didn't come from a lab or a slogan. It came from a human who sat down, looked straight at suffering, and mapped a way out. Stay with me, because in the next minutes we're going to test what Buddhist teachings promise. Results you can feel, not just ideas you can quote. Let's cut to the chase. We'll turn big questions. Why is life so intense? Why do I self-sabotage? What actually frees me? Into a practical field guide. We'll use Buddhist wisdom like a flashlight, the Four Noble Truths as diagnostics, and the Noble Eightfold Path as your operating system. No incense required. Through Zen meditation and Vipassana meditation, you'll learn to notice how stress is fabricated and how to stop fabricating it. This is Buddhist philosophy translated into daily Buddhist practice. Simple moves, strong impact. Here's our deal. No dogma, just experiments. We'll borrow from Buddhist monks' teachings, slip in short Dharma talks, and keep everything friendly enough for Buddhism for beginners, but deep enough to challenge experts. You'll hear Buddhist stories and parables that feel like they were written about your week, not some distant monastery. By the end, you won't just understand existence, you'll feel it click, clean, spacious, workable. If that sounds impossible, perfect. Paradox is where clarity sneaks in. Ready to sit, breathe, and watch the noise loosen its grip? You step into a world where Buddhist teachings started as a whisper under Indian skies and turned into a river that crossed deserts, mountains, and mines. Picture caravans carrying Buddhist wisdom alongside salt and silk, while kings listened to Dharma talks like battle maps for the heart. From the Ganges to Gandhara, from Sri Lanka to China, seeds of Buddhist spirituality found soil in everyday life. We're not chasing myths, we're tracing footsteps. Monks on dusty roads, queens translating scrolls, merchants repeating Buddhist life lessons at firesides. Think of it as early Buddhism for beginners. Direct, portable, practical, like water fitting any cup. And each cup changed shape, preparing us to meet the person who lit the torch in the first place. You can almost hear the debate halls. Careful Buddhist philosophy balanced with compassion that felt like home. Emperor Asoka doesn't just appear as a statue, he shows up as policy, turning remorse into daily Buddhist practice for an empire. Afghanistan's cliffside monasteries, Japan's quiet temples, same heartbeat, different instruments in Buddhist stories and parables. Scholars refined sutras, travelers carried mantras, artisans carved the path in stone, soft power before we had the term. And wherever it went, it didn't erase cultures. It dialogued with them, upgrading habits through Buddhist mindfulness and ethics. That dialogue sets the stage for the human drama that started it all. If you listen closely, the migration wasn't just geographic, it was psychological. People traded superstition for method, Four Noble Truths like coordinates, Noble Eightfold Path like a compass you can hold. Meditation became technology. Zen meditation for direct seeing, Vipassana meditation for X-ray attention, taught through Buddhist monks' teachings. Markets buzzed, families grieved, rulers worried, and the Dharma stayed practical, portable, reproducible. You and I can feel that same portability now, folding it into our daily Buddhist practice without changing our passport. And to understand why it works so well, we need to meet the one who discovered the middle way in the first place. You start with a sheltered prince, Siddhartha, wrapped in silk, yet haunted by questions no palace could mute. Then the shock. Aging, sickness, death. 3 knocks that turned comfort into curriculum and Buddhist life lessons into a calling. He walks out at 29, not as a rebel without a cause, but as a scientist of suffering, chasing Buddhist wisdom at its source. He tries extremes, starvation, breath-holding, the harsh edge of willpower, collecting data like Buddhist stories and parables in the body. And every experiment whispers the same verdict. Pain without insight isn't freedom. It's another cage. That's when a quiet clarity appears, the hint of a middle way that will soon turn into daily Buddhist practice together. Picture him meeting teachers, absorbing Buddhist monks' teachings, then bowing out when the maps didn't match the mountain. He's humble, not hopeless, testing Buddhist philosophy against real-time nerves and heartbeat, like Buddhism for beginners done right. We watch him step off the seesaw of indulgence and torture, letting Buddhist mindfulness hold the center. He eats again, breathes again, and dignity returns. An act of courage disguised as normal, the seed of Buddhist spirituality. Even without the labels, you can feel the Four Noble Truths forming, the Noble Eightfold Path sketching itself underfoot. And now the question ripens. If not excess and not denial, where exactly does awakening happen? He sits not to escape life, but to see it plainly, like Zen meditation stripped of theatrics, like Vipassana meditation scanning reality. No incense needed, just posture, breath, and a promise to stop running. A Dharma talks moment with himself as both teacher and student. You and I can relate. When distraction finally tires, the mind wants something real, testable, kind. That longing is the hinge of all Buddhist teachings, the pivot from restless seeking to grounded looking. So we lean in with him, feeling the night thicken, questions soften, and attention brighten. Because under a certain tree, the experiment will deliver results we can still reproduce today. Night gathers and you sit with him beneath the Bodhi tree. No drama, just breath meeting breath. This is Zen meditation without costume, Vipassana meditation that watches sensations bloom and fade. Craving rises, craving falls, thoughts parade, then pass. Buddhist mindfulness holds the line with quiet courage. One by one, illusions blink out, like lamps at dawn. This is Buddhist philosophy verified in the body. The Four Noble Truths aren't theories now, they're fingerprints on experience, warm and precise. And you feel why Buddhist teachings insist on method. Suffering is crafted, so freedom can be too. We lean in as old habits test him. Fear, doubt, temptation, each a chapter in Buddhist stories and parables. Mara throws everything, but attention stays open, kind, unblinking. Buddhist wisdom learning to stand its ground. Here, the Noble Eightfold Path takes shape like a constellation you suddenly recognize. Right view, right intention. Not commandments, but coordinates for daily Buddhist practice you can walk. In that stillness, compassion isn't a mood, it's gravity, part of Buddhist spirituality that pulls us toward clarity. And you realize, this is reproducible, even for Buddhism for beginners, if we keep the steps honest. Dawn touches the leaves and the seeing clicks into place, awakening as a clean, unforced fact. No angelic chorus, just relief. The wheel of rebirth explained, the knots of ignorance untied. He rises as Buddha, a human who mapped mind and handed us Buddhist life lessons that work on contact. Inwardly, it's the best of Buddhist monks' teachings. Outwardly, it will become living Dharma talks for the weary. We can almost hear the first footsteps, ours turning insight into skill breath by breath. And right there, a new question glows. If awakening is real, how do you share it without losing its purity? You can feel his pause after awakening. The quiet question, should I even teach? Hanging in the air. Then Brahma Sahampati appears, urging him to share Buddhist wisdom with those with little dust in their eyes. Compassion wins and the journey turns outward. Buddhist teachings become medicine, not medals. He walks, not to preach but to relieve pressure. Living Dharma talks with bare feet and a clear mind. What he offers isn't belief, it's a toolkit you can test and keep in daily Buddhist practice. And from that, yes, the human network of liberation begins to form around him. We follow him to Deer Park, where the first wheel turns and a small sangha is born. Friendship becomes a path, community, guidance, and shared Buddhist life lessons on the road. Rules are simple, ethics precise, the vibe unmistakable, gentle backbone shaped by Buddhist mindfulness. Some learned through silence like Zen meditation, others through seeing change directly like Vipassana meditation. Either way, Buddhist monks' teachings translated insight into habits we can repeat at home. And the campfire glow of belonging hinted at scalable Buddhist spirituality for all walks of life. His mission wasn't mass marketing. It was targeted relief, one nervous system at a time. He adapted Buddhist philosophy to farmers, kings, and wanderers, meeting them where their pain lived. Morning walks turned into Dharma talks, meal times into labs for Buddhism for beginners and adepts alike. The map he carried was simple and deep. 4 Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. Not dogma, directions, ready to be tested in breath, speech, livelihood, and attention. Which raises the next living question. What exactly sits at the core of this map we're about to unfold? Here's the heart of it. The Buddha skipped armchair metaphysics and went straight to pressure points. Buddhist teachings start with dukkha, not doom, but honest friction, and trace it to craving and ignorance. Then Buddhist wisdom hands you a method, not a mantra. See causes, remove causes, confirm results. The 4 Noble Truths work like diagnostics you can feel in breath and behavior. The Noble Eightfold Path is your operating system for daily Buddhist practice, clear and reproducible. This is Buddhist philosophy that moves, practical enough to carry in one pocket of your day. Let's make it usable. First truth, we notice stress. Second, we catch craving fabricating it. Third, we learn release is possible. Fourth, we train the know-how through the path. Right view and intention aim the mind. Speech, action, livelihood align your footprint. Then right effort, Buddhist mindfulness and concentration stabilize attention through Zen meditation and Vipassana meditation. In Dharma talks, this lands as plain English. Buddhism for beginners without dumbing anything down. You get Buddhist life lessons that scale, the same in temples, offices, kitchens, and commutes. Self-reliance is baked in. Test everything the way old Buddhist monks' teachings said. Keep what works. That's why Buddhist spirituality feels universal. It's cause and effect, not culture and belief. We measure progress by less reactivity, clearer choices, and a kinder baseline toward ourselves. In that lab, Buddhist stories and parables are teaching tools, not fairy tales, clear mirrors for behavior. Bit by bit, daily Buddhist practice turns ordinary moments into proofs the path is alive. And naturally, this points us to the ethical backbone that keeps the practice steady and humane. You want a compass, not a cage, right? The 5 precepts are exactly that, light in your pocket. No killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no intoxication. Clean signals to the mind. They turn Buddhist teachings into muscle memory, shaping choices before impulse grabs the wheel. With each precept, Buddhist mindfulness hears the click of alignment, less friction, more ease. This is Buddhist philosophy landing in real life. Cause and effect you can verify on contact. And every clean choice becomes daily Buddhist practice, a quiet vote for the person you're becoming. Karma here isn't cosmic bookkeeping, it's behavioral physics you can test at breakfast. Tell the truth and watch trust compound. There's your Buddhist wisdom growing interest. Guard speech, and your relationships breathe. Guard livelihood, and your sleep softens. Solid Buddhist life lessons. Through Zen meditation and Vipassana meditation, you notice how ethics stabilizes attention. Less guilt, fewer cover-ups. Your mind sits easier on the cushion, fueling Buddhism for beginners and veterans. Then Dharma talks translate that ease into steps on the Noble Eightfold Path you can repeat. From restraint grows warmth, the divine abodes the old Buddhist monks' teachings loved. Loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, equanimity. 4 rooms in your inner house. They're not moods, they're trained capacities, parts of Buddhist spirituality you can switch on. Practice them daily and watch habits soften, stories widen, reactivity loosen its grip. In Buddhist stories and parables, these virtues move like water around hard rocks, which leads us naturally to the Buddha's most brilliant tool, teaching through stories that land where logic can't. He knew ideas alone can skim the surface, so he wrapped Buddhist teachings in human lives. Angulimala isn't a monster, he's momentum, showing how a single pause can redirect fate into Buddhist life lessons. Kisagotami's grief becomes a compass, guiding us through impermanence with Buddhist wisdom that hugs, not lectures. These Buddhist stories and parables bypass ego, letting your own memories finish the teaching. In every tale, the 4 noble truths are hidden gears, turning quietly as you listen. And when the story ends, you feel a nudge toward daily Buddhist practice you can try tonight. He tailored Dharma talks like a doctor adjusts dosage. Right view for skeptics, right action for the restless. Farmers got seeds of the Noble Eightfold Path. Rulers learned restraint as real strength. Monastics refined attention through Zen meditation. Householders through clean speech and livelihood. Underneath, Buddhist mindfulness stitched everything together. Breath to behavior, moment to meaning. It's Buddhist philosophy done as craft, with results you can test at the sink, the office, the street. That's why it scales from Buddhism for beginners to adepts without losing the heartbeat. Even silence became a classroom. Watch how Vipassana meditation turns sensation into a whiteboard, or how a glance, a pause, a cup of water can carry Buddhist monks' teachings without a single chant. These methods smuggle Buddhist spirituality into ordinary Tuesdays, normalizing clarity and kindness. And when confusion returns, as it will, the stories reopen like maps you already trust. Soon, your life itself starts speaking in parables, proof that Buddhist teachings are alive in motion. Which brings us to today. Why does this ancient toolkit feel more modern and urgent than ever? Open your phone and you'll see it. Endless noise, tight shoulders, decisions on fast forward. That's exactly where Buddhist teachings shine, turning chaos into checkpoints you can touch. With Buddhist mindfulness, you feel the moment you start fabricating stress and simply stop. Zen meditation gives you one clear seat in a crowded day. Vipassana meditation gives you X-ray vision for habits. This is Buddhist philosophy as street skill. Less theory, more relief now. And in that relief, Buddhist spirituality stops being mystical and starts being measurable. Work, family, news cycles. You don't need a monastery to practice. Daily Buddhist practice can look like one honest breath before speaking, one kind message you actually mean. The Noble Eightfold Path becomes your checklist. View, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, concentration. Run it like a systems audit and watch your week get lighter. That's Buddhist life lessons in motion. Short Dharma talks in your own head keep you aligned. Buddhist monks' teachings become your playbook. For Buddhism for beginners, the on-ramp is easy. For veterans, the depth is endless. No need for dogma, just results. Use the Four Noble Truths like diagnostics. Spot dukkha, find craving. Release, train the know-how. You'll notice fewer flare-ups, steadier choices, and a baseline of quiet courage. Real Buddhist wisdom. Modern therapy loves the overlap. Leaders borrow the clarity. Parents pass down calmer scripts. And when life spikes again, Buddhist stories and parables reteach the same moves in human language. Which is why, right after this, we can step into a fresh cinematic introduction that grounds everything you felt so far. If something clicked today, even a tiny shift, drop it below. What line, image, or insight from these Buddhist teachings actually moved the needle for you? Did a piece of Buddhist wisdom reframe a problem at work? Or did Zen meditation give you one clean breath when it mattered? Share your moment. Your story might be the exact nudge someone else needs on their daily Buddhist practice. Now tell me straight, where does stress still ambush you? In speech, in deadlines, in the body? Which part of the Noble Eightfold Path do you want us to deep dive next? Right view, right intention, or the craft of attention through Vipassana meditation? Would a short series of pocket Dharma talks help? Little field tests for Buddhism for beginners and veterans alike? If you've got favorite Buddhist stories and parables, bring them. We'll turn them into living Buddhist life lessons together. If this felt like oxygen, subscribe and ring the bell, so the next session of Buddhist mindfulness, Buddhist philosophy, and Buddhist monks' teachings lands right when you need it. Let's keep building a practical, kind Buddhist spirituality here. Real methods, repeatable results. Your reflection belongs in this circle. Add it below, and let's keep training clarity where life actually happens.